And so, I mean, even if you even think about the council and its makeup, I mean, it's a very diverse group of folks. I mean, from film and TV to music, obviously, but also sports, theater, dance, every industry or medium you can think of when it comes to arts, even arts. Yes, that as well. And nonprofit who work in that space. I mean, they're all involved with the council. And
welcome to the Talk Chamber, a production of the Greater Memphis Chamber. The Talk Chamber is the podcast for the latest on the chamber, economic development, and all things Memphis. This mic is powered by OrthoSouth, world-class orthopedic care across the Mid-South. Today's episode features the incredibly talented Diamond Young, our Director of Marketing here at the Greater Memphis Chamber. Diamond, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Taylor Ann.
So kick us off. Just give us a brief background about yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do.
Awesome. So Diamond Young, Director of Marketing here at the Greater Memphis Chamber. I am a native Memphian, went to the Cordova High School.
I was going to say the which high school?
Shout out to our Wolves out there, class of 2010. I actually went to college in D.C. at Howard University, spent about 7 to 8 years worth of time in D.C., moved to New York, worked in sales while I was, in between those two places, and worked for apartments.com. I loved my experience in sales, learned so much. And lived in New York for about 3 years worth of time. Then moved back to Memphis almost 6 years ago now. I cannot believe it was that long ago.
I know.
It was awesome coming back to Memphis as an adult, and learning all the things that I learned while away, bringing it back to Memphis to apply. I had really awesome goals while coming back here. Being close to family has been amazing, while also friends, high school friends. And Memphis has been really good to me being back here for 6 years now.
And I feel like at least as somebody who left briefly, it gives me a new appreciation for
absolutely
the city. Because when you grow up here, it might start to become a little normal or mundane to you. But when you leave, even for a brief time, you come back and it's like, man, I forgot how great this city is.
Oh, my God. And I was reminded pretty quickly when I lived away. For a little while, I was like, why doesn't Memphis have this, that, and the other, compared to a D.C., And I was just like really confused about my experience growing up here, though I had an awesome experience living here and growing up in Cordova. But I eventually was brought back to reality simply off of a comment that was made of, well, you wouldn't even know me if you weren't from Memphis. And I was like, you're right. And then I realized how great the people are. Experiencing some of my colleagues and peers at Howard, which they're all awesome, they were just really different from me. And I was just extremely different. We, as Memphians, are so authentic and real I say this a lot, to a fault, usually. But that really was striking to me in meeting people from other places all over the country and world. And I really found a huge appreciation for Memphis. It also was really interesting to me how Memphis remained relevant while I lived away, mostly through music, which we are going to talk about today.
Little foreshadowing for us.
Yes, and many people I knew who were doing awesome things from Memphis. I mean, they were doing amazing in other cities, and that was really interesting to me too, and made me further appreciate the city of Memphis.
So what's your role at the Chamber?
Yeah, so I am the Director of Marketing. That consists of me managing our social media, our collateral, our branding. I also oversee our Music and Entertainment Council, which has been very rewarding. And then also overseeing now the Digital Delta campaign, which is our economic campaign to attain and retain talent and also businesses here in Memphis.
Before we dive in too deep to the Music Entertainment Council, can you give us a little bit of background in the industry and like what your connection to it is?
Yeah. So I like to tell people all the time when they ask me why do you think that you are, you should be heading this more than anything. I think the first thing I always say is I'm a consumer first and foremost. My friends know that I'm usually at every concert. I'm at every musical event you could think of that I'm a fan of. I also love theater. I love dance. I love the museum. I was always at the Brooklyn Museum back in the day. I've been to most of all of our museums here locally. And I've seen great talent in live experiences. But I also worked in live entertainment or live events. I've started in that space working for the DC Jazz Festival as a production or volunteer coordinator. And this was when Uber was brand new. Ooh. Crazy enough, they were a sponsor of the event, and we got so many credits. And I was just like, this is such an awesome thing. So I got around the city doing that, but also that just exposed me. I remember really vividly when the event was about to happen. The main event of that situation was a truck, a 16-wheeler truck, pulling into a tennis court and literally folding out into a live stage.
That's
and I was
awesome.
like, oh my God. And the producer of the event, while it was just, coming about, I just met him, and he made really great connections for me in the industry as a PA, production assistant. And I was working the Black Caucus every year in DC for a really long time. I got to see and be close to some really huge celebrities in that space. I worked on campus at Crampton Auditorium, at Howard, and that was awesome experience. But I always had a side gig in production assistant. Even when I was a salesperson, I did that for years, almost up until COVID.
Wow.
Then I worked for brands like YouTube. Actually, and even when I left DC, I actually quit my job as a sales account executive and worked in production as a production coordinator for a production company in New York. That's what moved me there, essentially. And so I've seen and been close to, and those were Google and YouTube events that I did a lot of. But I've been very close to a lot of celebrities. I don't get really fazed by that experience anymore. There's an infamous story here at the Chamber where we were in New York for some economic development work, and I just so happened to get invited by one of my friends in New York to a party in Brooklyn, and Taylor Swift was there. It was a game night that Questlove had going on, and I just acted like she was a normal person, and
I swear.
I was just like, yeah.
Y'all, Diamond is has so much lore. She's so cool.
Oh my God. I'm just a normal person. I promise. I just know how to maintain myself a little bit in those spaces. But yeah, that is my experience in the space for sure.
Yeah, definitely. That gives you a lot of outlook and perspective, especially being in bigger cities than Memphis.
Yeah.
And still working in that industry.
Yeah.
It allows you to take things back and, like you were saying in your intro, build on it here.
Yeah.
And bring it here.
Absolutely.
So how did the Music and Entertainment Council get its start, and what is it?
Yeah, I've been learning the history as I've been going on, but I've been overseeing this council for about a year now, and before, it was well-maintained, well-organized. It was actually a lot smaller than it is today, with about 30 members of that council. It was a lot of just convening more than anything, which is always good for people to hear what's going on, different perspectives. But when I took it over, I was very sure that I wanted to back everything up with some sorts of action behind the council as well. So I know in the past, I actually got this information recently that the consortium that David Porter was heading here downtown was actually in this office, in the chamber office, before it spun off to its own thing.
Oh, wow.
And that was when Phil Trineri was president and CEO of the chamber. Fortunately, that space, as far as music and entertainment, has really been a key industry that the chamber has remained focused on as an economic development industry for the city of Memphis and the region. And so that's why it remains so relevant for us to continue the work in the space, because we know that not only music and entertainment, but I'm sure now Anasa Troutman would be really happy for me to say this, but culture really drives economic development across a region. So we want to make sure that the chamber is involved from a business perspective, instead of just city or civic perspective. And so we've just remained in that space for this time. Yeah.
It's very interesting to me how much the culture influences what we do, and particularly music and entertainment, because it is just so ingrained in our history.
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk about all the legends that I'm sure we've already mentioned on this podcast, many episodes, but just all of those people and all the history and all the roots to the broader music industry and the broader entertainment industry. It's all here in Memphis. And so it is important that we use it as an economic development growth strategy.
Right. And so, I mean, even if you even think about the council and its makeup, it's a very diverse group of folks. I mean, from film and TV to music, obviously, but also sports, theater, dance, every industry or medium you can think of when it comes to arts, even arts. Yes, that as well. And nonprofit who work in that space. I mean, they're all involved with the council. And I've grown it, like I said before, it was 30 at first. I've grown it to about 130
Wow.
at this point. I've actually been spending the summer doing one-on-ones with the council members, and it's been extremely difficult to maintain and continue, but it's been so insightful to hear all the things that everyone has going on and what they have coming up. And I'm hoping that I will be a great asset and support system to them, and not just myself, but the Chamber of Commerce. Yeah,
that's awesome. And I know our team really supports the work you're doing and is excited to see how much it's grown.
Yeah.
And just all the great things y'all have been doing, which I guess that brings me to my next question. And it's, what do y'all do? What's the purpose of the council? You said it used to be convening, but it's kind of changed a little bit.
Yeah, now, I mean, it's not only just connecting and convening, but now it's actually advocating also. We want to make sure that people know what the policies are. We'll probably dive more into that this year. We did not do that so much so last year, but this year we will be making sure that we know some of the factors. I mean, we talked a lot about the incentives that the city, our local TV and Film Commission actually offer, but we also went over the state's Tennessee Entertainment Commission, what they have to offer as well. But how can we further this to make sure, our arts community feels supported in funding? Ultimately, our purpose is simple, and that's to create an environment where the music and entertainment industry can grow, and where people who power it can succeed. So we want to make sure everyone who feels like they're a part of this industry is actually at the table to talk about what they have going on and figure out ways to connect in action. Yeah.
So kind of to that point of advocacy, y'all did just back in February take the first ever trip to Music and Entertainment Council trip to Nashville to meet with people up there and talk about priorities here in Memphis. What was that like?
It was awesome. It was a lot of work. I was really stressing out on that event, but it was our inaugural. And obviously the chamber goes to Nashville every year with the government affairs team, and also our business leaders. They go to Capitol Hill to advocate for legislation. And I thought it'd be a great idea to take our talent, our industry leaders here in Memphis to Nashville, because Nashville is known for its infrastructure in music particularly, but also entertainment. And so I found a way through Gina Miller, thanks girl, for she actually helped me, get a couple of really several Nashville industry leaders together with our a couple of handpicked Music and Entertainment Council members, and we had a full day of discussion about what was going on in either of our spaces. It's actually really interesting. It wasn't exactly how we expected it to go, but there was great connection that happened there. I think that I know for a fact that there was some action behind that too. I know a local artist got invited to a songwriters camp right after that. So it was a great connection. I know one big thing that was really surprising to us was, the group there was like, why are y'all even here? And I think that was really interesting for our council members to hear because, we hear so much about there being a lack of opportunity here in Memphis, but at the end of the day, we still have the sauce. We still have the talent. We still got it, in general. So that was really good for them to hear. I think it was really empowering for them to hear Nashville industry leaders say that to us. But also they were like, when can we come down and when are y'all coming back? They were really invigorated by the experience altogether. We learned a lot about the industry there. Obviously, the big hubs across the country are New York, Nashville, LA, and then Atlanta. But, learning that Nashville is more so focused in the space of obviously country music, but another factor being songwriting. And so do we steer some of our artists to be in that space a little bit more and also like pitching that to Nashville industry? But it was fantastic. I think they had an awesome time. Let them tell it. And I had a great time, experiencing that and seeing the sparks in the room as the conversation was going on.
For sure. And I'm sure that there's opportunity, especially when you visit bigger hubs, to learn from them and perhaps learn from their mistakes.
Absolutely.
Take back things and say, this is what we need to be doing.
Yes.
And as you said, action's already been taken.
Yeah.
Connections were already made. And so that's really awesome. And in a similar vein, we've had members of the Music and Entertainment Council here on the podcast, and they've each brought a lot of insight into the industry.
Yeah.
Your perspective is a little bit different, as you are not every day actively creating songs or filming something.
I'm not. That's not my full-time job.
So what are some of the trends or improvements needed that you're noticing in the industry?
I think one of the biggest shifts is recognizing that the creative industry is not just an art form. We're seeing creators every day online become huge, famous folks, making great big money in the digital space and being able to reach global audiences and, building businesses around that work. And there's also a need for the public and the private sector to come together. That's something that was really talked about consistently amongst the film and TV industry, because we were advocating and looking to advocate for a change in incentives at the state level, and just trying to gather as much information around that. And we noticed that was the thing. But the talent has always been here. I can continue to say that all day, every day, but our opportunity is building the ecosystem and the infrastructure. It helps people stay here. It helps people build successful careers here in Memphis. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think, art, like you said, is a business.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things when I kind of was first introduced to Taylor Swift as a musician, one of the things I admired about her was she's pretty business savvy.
Yeah.
For a musician. I'm sure she's got a whole team behind her.
Yeah.
But
I was going to say, most artists aren't as busy savvy as they may even think they are. And so there has to be some marrying of both the things if you want to be profitable in a sense. Some artists, they just, and this is actually the story for most Memphians, in my opinion, is that a lot of artists here, they just do the art just because they just want to create. It's just in them. It's just, some of them do not care to capitalize off of it at all. But I think people really need to recognize that it's not just a capitalization for themselves, but it's for our local economy as a whole. When you are making money, you have disposable income to do all the things around the city of Memphis or beyond. And so, I hope that people really recognize that that opportunity is really strong for them to really try their best to make money and make a living off of this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with that extra income to go and do things, you can go to that local restaurant where that indie local band is having a concert, and you buy food at that restaurant and you tip them.
Yes,
and
that part.
And you have all of these opportunities to give back and put back in, because what are they going to do with that money? Turn around and spend it on food or restaurant or
new equipment.
Equipment, so that then they can come back and do another show.
Yes.
And it's the circle of life. It just goes round and round.
Absolutely.
So moving on to our next question, what is the Music and Entertainment Council doing to shape the industry here in Memphis?
I mean, I can repeat this over and over again. I mean, we are trying our best to make the connection so that action, proceeds. So, I mean, that means bringing together stakeholders who may not otherwise be in the same room, supporting initiatives that grow the creative economy, and identify ways that the chamber can leverage its network to benefit the industry as a whole. I mean, there's workforce development that's really big in this space. There's retention of local talent. There's business resources that we could be working on. I mean, and there's opportunities that position Memphis as a destination for both creatives and the creative companies, that really could build industry and infrastructure here. It's about moving beyond the conversation and toward collaboration at the end of it. Yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, I know I've said this on a previous episode with another Music and Entertainment Council guest, but the industry, particularly in the workforce side, isn't just the actor. It isn't just the singer or the guitar player. It's the crew member. It's the guy who's
the PA.
Yes,
it's the production coordinator.
The person who brings the live stage and lets it unfold.
Yes, literally.
They're all the sound engineer. There are so many moving pieces and so many job opportunities there.
Yes,
and we have institutions that teach that, first of all.
Yes.
So we have students here taking those courses.
Yes.
And then we have jobs here, and we need to create more jobs here so that the student that learned how to sound engineer stays in Memphis and sounds engineer in Memphis.
And those creative companies and businesses and organizations, they see where there's profitability in the investment in that infrastructure that we need. Oh, you got all the talent, you have the workers that we need. Okay, I might as well invest X, Y, and Z dollar amounts so that I can continue this and make sure that these folks have work, 365 days of the year, you know what I'm saying? So
100%.
That's really important, extremely important.
What do you see as the future of the industry here in Memphis?
I think the future is extremely bright. Memphis already has one of the strongest music brands in the world. Let's be very clear. It's not just in the country. But our future isn't just about celebrating our history, and we do lean on that a lot. It's about what's next. It's fortunate that we've been able to remain relevant across genres over the past several decades. But I mean, we still got to think about what's next. How are we going to make the world hear us? I mean, we are the basis for rock and roll, for blues. But I mean, there's still opportunity to figure out what's next for the industry here as a whole.
Yeah, and that's what I'm excited for.
I mean, let me mention this. I mean, that's the music sector. But we have the newest museum probably in the country that is going to be one of the biggest, tourism factors.
Have you seen the articles that keep coming out? This is one worldwide. They're like ranking new museums opening, and Memphis is always up there in that top.
I mean, we're number one, and it's not just that museum. There's also the Metal Museum, which is the only in the world.
I know.
That's really cool. I think that people are starting to realize, and not just people here locally, but across the world, that Memphis has something more to offer than just music. I mean, those two things along in the art space really are, that's the future. That's the future. Awesome. That's what's next.
How can Memphians, even those who aren't necessarily involved in the industry, don't really have anything to do with it in their work life, how can they take strides to support our Music and Entertainment Council and support the industry?
Yeah, I want to just be very clear. It doesn't take you working in the space, It's simple. Like I said before, I'm a consumer first. Be a consumer of it all. Go to that art show, that pop-up art show down the street. Go to that festival that's, on your local street or downtown or in Carterville, really support these things. Spend your money, when you go to these things. Even if you just show your face and just be there, for the free entertainment, go. We hear people say all the time that there's not a lot to do in Memphis. And that's beyond not true. There's so much to do. It's just a matter of you finding these things where they are. So keep exploring, keep asking the internet, what is there to do this weekend in Memphis? You should see me in the comments on Threads usually. I'm always, referring different things, and I feel like I've done a lot of it all myself, but there's still so much more that I haven't experienced. Go to that blues concert, go to that cowboy showdown, go to a Grizzlies game. I mean, really just get involved some way, somehow in what's happening outside of working every day. Yeah, find your outlet.
Diamond, our time is almost up, so I'm going to close with one question for you. What makes Memphis the place for music and entertainment?
That's really simple. Our authenticity is where it's at. Again, we are the realists of the real that come out. I think that is what's most important. There's nothing like it. We've talked about the genres that we've birthed, but it's more than that history. There's still things that are consistently being birthed here in Memphis. Sometimes it's not always music and entertainment. We could talk about new things that are happening all the time. And it's a matter of everybody screaming it at the top of their lungs also when they hear about these stories. Just make sure people know because there's a lot of drowning out that news and information. You know it from For Memphis and how that campaign came about. We got to tell these stories, these news stories that are coming out about the city. Just keep it real. Just keeping it real.
100.
Yes.
100. Diamond, thank you so much for coming on the Talk Chamber.
Thank you, Taylor. Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Talk Chamber. We are so glad you're here. Today, Diamond Young shared with us about the work that she's doing with the Music and Entertainment Council and how she sees Memphis growing in that space. If you enjoyed this episode or learned a valuable piece of information, share this episode with a friend or maybe even a colleague. Subscribe to the Talk Chamber to keep up with the latest on the Chamber, economic development, and all things Memphis. Follow us on social media at Memphis Chamber, and we'll see you next time.